Modern marriage has become worse than slavery. I don't say those words lightly. I saw a video from Elliot Hulse recently, and wow, it really illustrates what marriage has become and why no man in their right mind should be getting involved in it. I like the analogy that he actually uses. Let's just go ahead and jump right into the video.
Modern marriage is a man-eating trap. So today we got a question from a viewer who says, yo, Elliot, I want to marry my girlfriend. I love her and I want to make a family. The problem is, I'm aware of the legal traps of having a marriage license, he says. He says, I understand that the divorce rates are high. They're mostly initiated by women. And with this marriage license, the family courts and the government is usually stacked against the men. Men lose in all divorce cases, and upwards to 90% of divorces are initiated by women. So it's literally like walking into a trap. Also, he recognizes that in this context, as crazy as it sounds, men have all the responsibility, but none of the authority in this state-sanctioned marriage and marriage license situation. I thought of this analogy when you mentioned having all the responsibility and none of the authority. I remember being a kid and our sidewalk in front of the house had a crack in it. And I asked my dad, because my dad fixes everything. I'm like, Dad, why is the sidewalk this way? Why don't you fix it? Because somebody might trip over it and you could get in trouble. Well, he explained to me that according to the state laws, I'm not allowed to touch that. It's in front of my house. But if somebody trips over it, I take all the responsibility. So you have no authority over the sidewalk in front of your house, meaning you can't change it, fix it, work with it, deal with it in a resourceful way without permission.
And guys, I want to just interject right here. This is the reason why I say it's so important that as adults, we speak to children and we tell children from a very young age what the world actually is like. Start them off very, very young. Let them know what you're going through. Let them know what society actually is like. Let them know what consequences are actually happening. Tell them the truth. This is one of the worst things. And people say, oh, Angry, shut up. You don't have children, so you don't even know. Listen to me. You don't need to have children to know right from wrong and to be a reasonable person, to have gained wisdom from others. Okay? You have to tell children the truth. You need to tell, when it comes to things like sexual immorality, tell them the truth. Start them off at a young age. You're not fit to be a parent. Listen to me. These kids are on the hub at 7 and 8. You think they don't know what's going on? Tell them the truth. Okay? Tell them how police officers work. Tell them how society works. Tell them the consequences that you will face. Tell them that PlayStation 5 that they love so much, guess what? When you get a divorce, half of everything you own, including your game collection, that goes up in the divorce too. Tell them the damn truth. Stop lying to kids. Tell them what to expect in the future. Tell your kids what happens if they decide to have a drink and then get behind the wheel of an automobile. All right? Tell them what the consequences will look like. Tell them what's going, like, listen to me. Tell them what happened. Show them the video. Say, listen, guess what? Your stupid actions can not only, hurt someone, but guess what? You're going to be in jail. And guess what happens in jail? Tell them about all the horrible things that happen in jail. Tell them how miserable jail is. Tell them about your own horrible experiences. You need to be honest with your kids. They are human beings. I've warned people countless times. Like, for example, like Dave Chappelle, he sits with his son now, and they smoke together. And here's the thing: if you smoke, and your kid wants to smoke, especially if it's legal, you should sit there and be there when your kid has their first puff. And the reason why I tell you this is it's best to do it with them and observe them and be there for them versus letting them be there out with a stranger. Previously, before the laws became stupid, in countries like, England, I believe it was, you used to be able to, give your 16-year-old or 14-year-old, a beer. And it was important that you be able to do that because you could watch how they react to alcohol. And if they become tipsy, you know, you don't want your children to have certain experiences around a bunch of other idiots. This is what happens when your kids go to college and they're about around a bunch of frat boys who don't know, their butts from their heads. And and your kids are exposed to this. And you're like, well, I raised them well. You're an idiot. You're an absolute idiot. You know, you basically you're like, oh well, I did my best. I raised them in a proper Christian household, and they know what's expected of them. You're an idiot. You're an absolute idiot. When you were their age, you also took a sip or more than a sip. When you were their age, you were going. If it's your mom was out there getting her back blown out, dad was out there simping. Tell your kids about what to expect. Tell your kids about reality. Tell your kids about consequences. Parents need to start telling the damn truth. But a lot of them are too ashamed or too scared. All right? Are just very low character. Very, very low character. I just don't understand human beings. I don't, and I've heard these men say, you'll understand if when you have a daughter, you don't know what it's like to have a daughter, bro. Tell what so I don't know what it's like to have a daughter. I don't know what it's like to have a kid. So that's why I don't understand why it's so difficult to tell them the truth. Oh, what you want to protect them from the world. You want to keep them, you want to protect their youth, you want to protect their innocence. Bro, they have the internet. Okay? They have the internet. They're not that innocent. I'm just being real with you. The so-called innocence that you're believing in, there are these videos. There are these videos online where this guy, it's a YouTuber. He gets together with the parents of girls. So these girls are like 11, 12, 13 years old. And they basically set up a sting operation where, he poses as someone online, and he talks to them and invites them. And, he has like a van, and basically the parents are there, they're in on the operation, and they want to see if their kids will actually go and meet up with this guy. And again, the parents are there, and they'll even tell the guy sometimes, like, tell her this, because they want to see how far it's going to go, because they've raised their kids. Their daughters, to say, no, never do this. So they leave, they go out, and they're like, mom and dad are in like the van, the white van, with the creepy dude, and they're waiting, like they're basically like, okay, so we're gonna pull up and see if she actually comes outside, or we're gonna see if she actually meets us at the playground. And the parents are like, oh, not my kid. She will never do it. She would never do it. Oh my gosh, there she is. And when when they confront the daughter, they go absolutely ballistic. And then some of you are the same idiots that'll say in my videos, it's your fault for not raising your kids right. These parents did the best that they could. They literally hollered and screamed at them, do not do these things. And what does the kid do? As soon as the parents are away, they go and do these things. Well, clearly you didn't do well enough. This is the same garbage. And it's abusive. Same garbage that you get from men and women, Simpson women, who say, oh, well, you married the wrong person. Clearly you chose wrong. What about the guy who married someone who was a Christian? Went out there and married all of these Christian women? Huh? What about the guys who married all of these Christian women? They never, these men themselves, they were virgins when they got married. They had never been intimate with a woman before. They went through church counseling. Tons of these guys. The woman that they married was also a virgin, or at least she claimed to be. And then everything collapsed. Oh, it's your fault. There were clearly warning signs from the very beginning. Like, guys, this is how women and society gaslight men. Look at this comment for one of my subscribers, where it says, this was a poll I made. The older I get, the more I understand bitter old men. And I got a comment from one guy, Shagrat. After 44 years, I'm leaving my wife. I'm getting out of the friggin' city and going to be a forest hermit. I cannot deal with the stupidity anymore. Guys, do you remember what I told you? And many of y'all think I'm radical. You think I'm crazy. This is how they get you. They don't call you a liar, but they call you crazy. I said to you guys, there are men who, they were like in these so-called wonderful marriages and they did everything right and they were very careful with the choices they made in women. And after 5 years, she goes ballistic. She just changes one day. Keep in mind, she was planning this out for a long time, years in advance. I've said this before and said it again. A woman plans her divorce before she plans her wedding. And 5 years of marriage, boom, something went, and she just basically went off and said that she's not happy and she leaves. 10 years, 20 years, 25 years, all right? 30 years, 40 years. I said that to you guys, even 50 years. Even 50 years, and many of y'all think, "Oh, Angry, you're out of your mind. You're being facetious now. Who hurt you? Who hurt you? What does this guy say? 44 years of marriage. 44 years of marriage. There's a judge. There's a judge who discovered after 48 years that none of his children were his own. A retired judge, 48 years. I believe it was 48 years of marriage. He discovered that none of his kids were his own. 48 years. But then if you don't believe, that's the exception, not the standard. Who are you people? Who are you people? And then the saddest part, like I said, I've been doing this for almost 10 years, is when you guys come back to me. When you come back to me after years after you got screwed, years after you were my trolls. And I've blocked you long ago. So you reach out to me via email to tell me, yeah, Angry, you were right. Or you create another account. Yeah, Angry, you were right. You were right. I got screwed. You were right. I was one of your trolls. You were right. What do you want from me? I'm not your friend, dude. You are one of my tormentors. All right? I was out here helping men. And what did you do? Made my life more difficult. So why am I going to be there for you? Get the heck out of here. Get the heck out of here.
And then if someone trips over it, you're at fault. And that's kind of like what modern marriage in this government-sanctioned context really is all about. You're in a contract that says you have all the responsibility. It's been traditional that men have all the responsibility. But the minute your other half, woman per se, says, you know what, I don't like something. I'm out of here. You can't do anything about it. So if shit goes south, it's your fault. It's always your fault. It's always the man's fault. And so that's why, he's hesitant. Our friend is worried. And it is a tough question to answer from a man who loves marriage. I love being married. I love my wife. I love my parents who remain married and gave us the tradition of lifelong marriage. I have an example of a good marriage. Me and my wife model ourselves after my parents, and hopefully my children will carry on the tradition of lifelong traditional marriage also. It is a life spring. It is a joy. It is an amazing thing, and I wish it could work, but I'm not gonna lie. The way things are set up today, modern marriage, like I said, is a fucking trap. But there are some things that you could do, and it begins with context. But before we get into my opinion about what you can do, which begins with how you think about marriage and then ends with some things you can actually do, I want to talk a little bit about how we got into this trap that we are in terms of marriage. And by the way, it's not that marriage doesn't work or can't work, it's that marriage is under attack. Marriage is under attack from the government, meaning rules and laws and obligations and contracts and shit like that, but it's also under cultural attack. Our society, Western society, whether you know it or not, has been in covert war for the last 100 years. And so this war is manifest on multiple fronts: government, school, music, media, all these things, laws, right? It's designed to do a number of things to subvert our culture, but the main one, the real one, the way you really destroy a culture from the inside out is by destroying the family, destroying the family unit. I know not everybody agrees with that because you've been brainwashed by the very Bolsheviks that want you to destroy family.
Now, don't get me wrong. He's absolutely right. The family unit is the most powerful thing that we have in Western society, and there's been nothing but an endless push to get rid of the family. Because if you don't have the family, you can do whatever you want with the individual. You split up the family, and now everyone has to have something of their own. So you can. This allows you to strip everyone of their resources. Everyone has to work long hours. There's no food in the house, so everyone has to order takeout, or you're going to have to go slave away in the kitchen after working 8 hours a day. And you don't even get an hour off for lunch, so you've really been there, what, 9 hours. And there's the time that it took you to get to work, to get ready for work. So we're really talking about 12 hours right there or more. And and then there's a period. How long do you actually sleep? So I mean, if you're getting 6 to 8 hours a night of sleep, and 12 hours of your day, a minimum of 12 hours of your day are dedicated towards work, between actually being there, getting there, preparing for work, because it's a preparation. How much time do you actually have to yourself, outside of sleeping? And you do the math, and you realize that, wow, I barely have 6 hours a day for myself. 6 hours a day where I'm not working or sleeping. 6 hours a day, and in those 6 hours, I'm supposed to, I'm supposed to eat. I'm supposed to take care of myself. I'm supposed to go to the gym. I'm supposed to find time for hopefully a little bit of leisurely activity. So yeah, I get to watch maybe half an hour of Netflix before bed, and that's my life. And then imagine being a man with all of these responsibilities and zero authority in your home. And somehow you're basically a loser. You don't have a purpose in life if you refuse to embrace this thing. Let me tell you something, guys. Modern marriage, as it is today, is a lie. Marriage is between a man, a woman, and God. The moment you sign that contract, that is not marriage. That is not marriage. If you go and you take a woman and you accept her as your wife, that's marriage. That is marriage. Marriage is within the eyes of God. Who brought the government into it? You guys, do you see how sick this is? Yes, you see how sick this is? The government. Notice, guys. Marriage in Western society is not even recognized unless the government recognizes it. Don't you see how stupid this is? It's absolute stupidity. So basically, at some point, the government stepped in and said that we define what marriage is, we control marriage, and that's it. But marriage was never something that was controlled by the state. It's something that the state took control of. It's an utter joke. It's ridiculous. And I will say this, as I've said before, a lot of guys, they're like, oh, a lot of these traditionalists, they're like, literally, they're so frightened. They're absolutely frightened because they see the writing on the wall. Because this is how they make their money. They make their money off idiots getting married and going down this road. And as more men walk away from modern marriage, they're also walking away from traditionalism. Guys, it's just the way the world is right now, and the smartest thing you could do as a man is to just walk away. By the way, guys, don't forget that I have another channel called Angry, where I discuss gaming, anime, geek stuff, nerd stuff, real world stuff, and whatever else interests me. There's a link to it in the description of the video. Go check it out. Subscribe to my channel, support my work. I also have another channel called Men Walking Away. If you're enjoying this content, if you're enjoying the kind of content that we have on this channel, and you want more videos like this video, go and check out the Men Walking Away channel. I post new videos daily over there. So if you want more content like this, like the content on the Angry Guy channel, head over to the Men Walking Away channel for even more of my content. And there's a link to that channel in the description as well, description of this video as well. What do you guys think about this? Modern marriage has become worse than slavery. Do you agree with that statement? I want to hear your thoughts on that, so let's talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, Men Walking Away, and cheers.